Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Unfortunately today, we are going to be spending our video in green screen land, which means my buddy here cannot stay. Sorry, Cutethlhu. But before we get into the real video, I want to acknowledge something. It's No Shave November. This, I would like to acknowledge, is just because I'm lazy and ran out of razors. But I'll use it as a time to acknowledge No Shave November. Donate to prostate cancer research. All right, let's get into the actual video. Hello and welcome back. If you, as an audience member, are watching this right now, I would like to acknowledge something. I'm already playing God of War Ragnarok. Sorry, I'm just cooler than you. I filmed this 4 days before God of War Ragnarok dropped, but you're gonna see it 2 days after God of War Ragnarok dropped, because that's how time works. So I actually haven't played the game, but I will have played the game when video you see. Now, if you're watching this when the video actually went live, I will be playing God of War Ragnarok on stream. Just click the channel. But if you want to stay spoiler-free, avoid that stream at all costs, because by that point, I'll be like 20, 30 hours into the game. So like, come say hi if you want and or don't care about God of War Ragnarok spoilers. Otherwise, avoid it like the plague. It's just gonna be like an archive for God of War. Mwah. All right, thanks. God of War 2018 is one of my favorite games of all time for a multitude of reasons, and the original plan for this video was not what you're about to see today. Originally, I was gonna break down everything that I liked about the game, from its performances, to its music, to its directions. Everything about it I was gonna break down, and that just became too convoluted and I wasn't a fan. So instead, I want to try to express to you how God of War makes me feel. And I'm gonna do that by talking about one of the greatest video game openings of all time. So this video is actually now going to be spoiler-free. So if you haven't played God of War 2018, this is going to spoil the first hour of the game, and that is it. So you can still go in blind. It's going to establish everything you need to know and express to you why I think this game's opening is one of the greatest of all time. Because it had a lot of work to do, and it somehow knocked it out of the fucking park. When you buy God of War 2018 and you first install it on your system, you are greeted with a menu screen and a tree. Now, when you set up all of your settings and you hit the start button, you click your difficulty, the menu fades away and we are left with a tree. We pull out from the tree and we see a large, brooding man. And this is one of the best ways they could have opened this game, because the entire God of War trilogy before this point had established that it opens up the exact same way, menu fading out directly into gameplay. And yet in those games, we're watching Kratos' face. In this game, we're left with a tree, and we don't see Kratos until we pull back and we can feel the pain on his face. It lets you know that this is still a God of War game, yet it is a different God of War game. And that's only proven even more when Kratos lifts an axe into frame. That's right, no Chaos Blades here. Kratos is now wielding the Leviathan axe, a weapon that fits so well in his hands, yet is a weapon that we have not seen in this world or wielded by Kratos before. And it asks you to swing this axe at the tree, and as each swing hits the trunk, he builds in anger and rage until finally he lifts the axe far above his head, and his final swing knocks the tree down in a thunderous blow and a cry that just feels so painful. Christopher Judge's performance in this game is amazing, and this is only a sweet, tender taste of what is to come. Now, after the tree has fallen, we take a moment as Kratos steps away and a bandage falls from his sleeve. If you are familiar with the previous God of War games, you will know that his entire arm is scarred with the chains that attach the Blade of Chaos to his body. And underneath those bandages is a past that Kratos wants to forget. And so when he acknowledges this bandage slipping from beneath him and he has to reattach it, he's both acknowledging to himself and us as an audience that this is a Kratos who wants to put the past behind him, who wants to forget who he was and wants to try to grow as a person, which is made even more apparent when Boy comes into frame and Atreus tries to address his father, and Kratos does nothing but turn his back to him. This perfectly establishes the conflict that our two main protagonists are going to have through the entire game. There is tension between father and son here, and it is immediately apparent when Kratos turns his back to his son and tells him only to go to the boat. That is the first line we get between these two characters, and it immediately sets up everything you need to know about them and their relationship with one another. After that, the camera slowly pulls back and we find ourselves immediately in gameplay. Cory Borlaug, when directing this game, wanted the entire thing to go in one continuous cut. It is one shot the entire game, from fast travel to cutscenes to combat to combos. Everything is one camera. It either pushes in for a cutscene or pulls out for gameplay, and it is so cool to see. My only issue with this is that the game has a lot of RPG elements, and then when you open the menu, it kind of immediately breaks the one-shot camera thing. It's something that I think a game like Dead Space does a lot better, where the entire inventory system is like organically built into the world. Helps with the immersion. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying it's just my one issue with it. But anyway, we then see a Kratos lift an entire tree atop his shoulder and walk to a boat. This is establishing that Kratos is kind of like a big tough guy. I don't know if you knew that, but he's a strong dude. And once he gets into the boat, him and Atreus have a very, very cheeky line where Atreus asks Kratos if something has changed because the forest feels different. And Kratos responds with this.
Everything is different, boy. Try not to dwell on it.
With this one line, Kratos is both addressing Atreus, and Christopher Judge is looking directly at the audience. And he's saying, hey, yeah, things have changed. Sucks to suck, I'm sorry, but things are different, and if you trust Santa Monica and you trust everyone who poured their life, blood, sweat, and tears into this game, it is still at its core a God of War game, but it is a different God of War game, and it is different for the better. After the boat pulls up to the dock, we follow Kratos and Atreus and see that the trees they have been cutting down were marked by someone to create a burning pyre. And we follow Atreus into the cabin, and that's when it's told to us. These characters are grieving. Kratos lost a wife and Atreus lost a mother. And this scene hits me so hard because Atreus takes the candles and he lights all of the candles around his mother, Faye, her body. And he talks to her and he wishes her a safe passage. And you can feel the grief and the pain that he is feeling, but he knows that his dad is watching, and so he has to be a strong, tough man. And so he continues the ceremony, and this beautiful scene is immediately juxtaposed by the camera turning around, and we see Kratos' huge, looming silhouette in the doorway. Like, we are immediately told that this Kratos is still Kratos. But when he steps into the light, we see a different side of him. He too is grieving, but he is not someone who can show emotion. He is so bottled up. The guy's been through a lot, so I don't really blame him. But when he steps into the light, he goes to scoop up Faye. And at this point, I feel like I should address the elephant in the room because I have yet to talk about it. The music composed by Bear McCreary is unbelievable. I don't know how Bear McCreary doesn't have lifelong back problems because every emotional scene in this game is made even better by his unbelievable score that takes traditional Norse hymns and turns them into something different. The music in this game is so bellowing. It feels grand. It feels beautiful. And when Kratos scoops up Faye, the song Memories of Mother, it swells. And when the choir comes in, he takes Faye's body outside, and I am always in tears. It is so hard not to well up during this moment because of the music, because we know these characters and their grief, and Kratos sets her body along the pyre, and he goes to light it, and she is engulfed with flames. Before he picks her up, he wishes her a safe passage. He tells her that she is free. This is a man who has lost more than anyone should, and yet he somehow keeps it together. He doesn't keep it together in the trilogy. He doesn't really keep it together in this game, but for this moment, he keeps it together, and it is so, so beautiful to watch. From the choreography to the music, this moment is what makes me love this game. It is beautiful. And from there, Atreus notices that there is still a knife on Faye's body, and he reaches into the fire and grabs a knife and immediately burns his hand. I've never understood this moment because Atreus kind of holds onto the knife a lot longer than he should. He just grips it and stares at it, and he goes, "Ah, my hand's burning," before he finally drops the knife, but it's fine, whatever. When Atreus burns his hand on his mother's knife, his first instinct is to look at his dad and apologize. He hurt himself and went, "Oh, sorry, Dad." And this is where we see a moment of Kratos that we have not seen before. Kratos kneels down and helps his son. He scoops up a pile of snow and holds it in his hand. And this is the important part. He takes a piece of wrapping from his own scars and uses it to bandage his son. This is a man who cares about his son. And it's hard to see because he doesn't know how to show it, but he genuinely cares about Atreus. And then this is immediately followed by the line, "in the direction of deer," which is probably one of my favorite God of War lines. Again, Christopher Judge's performance in this game, stellar. And this is, we're not even 10 minutes into the game yet, by the way, so we're gonna go a lot faster. Kratos and Atreus then go on a hunting trip for deer. And this is the tutorial area, and how beautifully of a paced tutorial it is, because it slowly introduces all of the mechanics you need to know, while also cutting them in between nice, wonderful moments of dialogue between Atreus and his father Kratos. We are building this relationship in the tutorial area. They're not just throwing you a weapon and saying hack things, they are justifying why. They are setting up a story. The tutorial is part of the story. It is a moment that I don't want to skip, even though I've played this game dozens of times now. I still love playing through this little area because not only does it refresh my mind on the mechanics of this game, but it also establishes the relationship between Atreus and Kratos even deeper. And it gives one of the worst, most gut-wrenchingly painful lines of dialogue I have ever heard in a game. Dexter, play it.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
The little moments between Atreus and Kratos in this area are special. The moment when Atreus asks for his bow back so he can shoot the deer, and Kratos asks him earnestly if he can hit the shot, and Atreus responds that they should get closer. That is such a genuine moment that I love so much. And then as we follow along, eventually Atreus gets his deer. And it leads to the most beautiful part of this entire game, tied with like that moment where the music swells and Faye's body's burning. It's like tied there. Boy and Kratos approach the deer, and Atreus discovers that the deer isn't fully dead yet. And he asks his father to finish the job, and Atreus looks at him and asks him to finish what he started. So Atreus takes his knife, and he is supposed to kill the deer, and he just cannot do it. And so Kratos takes Atreus' hands and slowly guides the knife into the deer's neck, finishing the job. And it is such a tender moment because Atreus, you can feel the pain in Atreus' face because this is the first time he's taken a life, and it is an important motif for the rest of this game. It's very important that the first time Atreus takes a life here, he's really heartbroken about it because it's really important in the rest of the game. And we see Kratos reach a hand out to his son. He wants to tell him that he's proud of him. He wants to say that he loves Atreus, and his hand reaches out and his hand immediately pulls back in because he cannot show his love for his son. Which is then explained because a giant troll comes up and reaches the deer, and you have a giant awesome tutorial boss fight, and after that boss fight, we see something has been brewing in Atreus. He gets so mad and just goes ham on this troll, and that's when we as an audience see why there is tension between these two characters. Because Kratos sees some of himself in Atreus. When Atreus starts attacking that troll, he sees that the younger, more harsh, cruel Kratos lies inside of Atreus, and he wants nothing but to keep that dwelled in Atreus. He loves his son, but he cannot tell his son the truth because it could unleash something dangerous inside of him. Kratos has done so much wrong in his life, and he is hurt by the curse that he has given his son. And that is where the linchpin of all of the conflict from this game comes from. It comes from that moment. Kratos regrets his life. Kratos has made so many terrible mistakes in his past, and he does not want his son to go through the same thing. His son is a god, and he hides that from him. And that is where this tension comes from. After this moment, father and son immediately go home, and there is a knock on the door. That is an hour into the game, and after that knock follows probably not just the greatest moment in this game, but one of the most iconic and sick fucking moments in video game history. Dexter, what did you think of the moment? You watched it. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what you said, but I probably agree because it's absolutely nuts. And if you haven't played it, you owe it to yourself to boot up this game and play through it beginning to end just for that one scene, because it is unbelievable. That scene is the start of our adventure. The past hour has been used to establish everything that you need to know before going into this game. And I don't know how Cory Borlaug and his team at Santa Monica did it, but they knocked it out of the fucking park. They had to do so much. They had to establish that Kratos is no longer in the Greek realm, he is now in the Norse realm. They had to establish that off-screen he had a wife who has since passed away, and now he has a son. We already know what Kratos is like as a father, and from previous games, it's not a very good side. Granted, he was tricked into it, but when you murder your daughters and your wife, it's not a good look as a dad. They had to establish that this game is not the same God of War game. From gameplay to story, this game is much more earnest in its storytelling. And Cory Borlaug has said that he had a son during the middle of this game, and it hurt him. This game changed him because he was trying to express what fatherhood meant to him in this game and just how much this game means to him, and he nailed it. The only game that rivals the God of War opening to me is the opening to Resident Evil 7, but that game's got a completely different tone, and its opening is going for something entirely different, so we're gonna put a pin in that, and maybe we'll come back to it at a later date, because that's one of my favorite games of all time. Also because its opening is so great, but we'll just leave that. We'll leave that over there. Now, in 4 days, God of War Ragnarok drops, and I am making this video because I do not want God of War Ragnarok to rehash how God of War 2018 made me feel. And that might sound counterintuitive coming from a sequel, but what I want God of War to do is to finish the saga of these characters. We've been told that God of War Ragnarok is the end of the Norse saga for Kratos and his son. Whatever that means, I am excited to see it. But this game held its themes so high and achieved them so fundamentally and beautifully that it is just one of the greatest games ever made. And now what I want from God of War Ragnarok is different themes. Atreus is a teenager now. Him and Kratos have bonded. They have found their relationship. But now where do we go? Now where do we explore? What other themes are there to explore? That's what I want from God of War Ragnarok. I want to see these characters again. I want to see the side characters again. I want to see Brock and Sindri. I love this game, and what I want God of War Ragnarok to do is to expand upon it. After finishing God of War Ragnarok, I want to go back to this game and love it even more because of the themes and the stories and the way that God of War Ragnarok treats its characters. I want it to bolster up God of War. I want these two games to work in synergy. I don't want one to be better than the other. I want them to work together. And if they achieve that, I will be a fucking waterworks by the end of this game. I could probably take all of my tears and fill my bathtub if they knock it out of the park, and I am so excited. So thank you guys. This week's videos was a little bit different. The tone was a little bit less silly, but I really wanted to express to you why I love God of War. I wanted to tell you that this game is special for a lot of reasons, but every reason that I think this game is special is immediately captivated in the first hour, and that is a feat of the gods that Santa Monica pulled off. They had so much on their plate, and somehow they absolutely killed it. So if you haven't ever played it, God of War 2018 is on Steam. It's on the PlayStation 4. It is such a good game, and if you have not played it, you are doing yourself a disservice. So where did I yeet Cutethlhu? Give me Cutethlhu! Cutethlhu and I must go, because I'm gotta go play this game and just not see the sun for a couple of days. So thank you guys for watching. And I also want to say, if you're new here because the algorithm took the last video up into the stratosphere, hi, thank you for sticking around. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. I'll see you guys next week. I'm gonna go play God of War Ragnarok because I'm better than you. Suck it. What are you gonna do about it? Actually, you know what? That's the end of the video. That's it. Sorry, sucks to suck.